Sarah, thank you.
I start, okay. All right, well, oh goodness, I got to put this down a little bit. We are so excited to be here in the middle school. I am Representative Sara Rodriguez, and I am just humbled and honored to be your next lieutenant governor here in Wisconsin. And I thank you.
Yeah.
I do love Wisconsin. My roots run deep. My mom grew up on a dairy farm outside of Richland Center, where she went to a one-room schoolhouse through 8th grade, and her mother was her teacher. So that's how rural she grew up. My dad went to UW-Stevens Point on the GI Bill after he came back from Vietnam. And so we've been here for most of our lives. And it's so nice to be within this middle school because I've got 2 kids, 13 and 15, an 8th grader and a sophomore now. And so I love seeing these kids out here and how excited they are. And my mother was actually a teaching assistant. I don't know if you knew that, Governor Evers. And she worked in special education, and she was a dues-paying member for 18 years. And so I am just so glad that this is the first, thank you. That this is the first stop that we are making because we could not think that public education is more important to the state of Wisconsin. And I think that the voters made that clear last night. So it is my honor and my privilege to be able to introduce to you your governor, Tony Evers, for the next 4 years.
Thank you, Sarah, for the introduction, and it's great to be here. This last election, a good piece of this was about public education and where it fits, whether referendums are passed, whether there's enough resources. And you know, there's a handful of things that really are bipartisan issues, and education is one of them, no question about it. Are there difficulties within our public education system? Of course there are. It's just, that makes sense. And that's why we have to honor our teachers and the people that work in the building and the leaders of school districts and the school board members, thanking them for their service because they are doing miracles every single day. So that's one of the reasons we're here today, is to start off our world together as winners in this last election last night. Really honored to have the people of Wisconsin supporting us in this endeavor. And let's answer some questions. Anybody have any questions?
In the campaign, describe yourself as a goalie of sorts against a lot of Republican initiatives. You've got your own agenda, but the makeup of the legislature really hasn't changed. So what changes can Wisconsinites expect to see in the way you work with Republicans in the legislature, and how you hope to get some things done?
Well, we always hope to get things done, and frankly, it's maybe a surprise to people. Out of all the bills that I received last year, I signed 2/3 of them, and of those 2/3, 99%, I think maybe only one bill didn't have some kind of Democrat on board in that bill. So we do things, and we're going to continue doing things, and I'll use public education as an example. You think about Republican legislators in rural Wisconsin, their public schools in those small towns are the hubs of those small towns. They're the largest employer. They're a community center. Kids go to school there. And so I think there are some things that are naturally bipartisan by nature, and I'd say education is one of them. Obviously fixing our roads and making sure we have good infrastructure in the state. But yes, we'll do everything we can. I'm not all that foolish. I understand that there's a whole bunch of Republicans in the legislature, and we need to work with them, and we'll do the best we can. But obviously, we will do things that we will not do things that aren't, simply against our core beings. And so we'll stand tall when we have to, but we'll coordinate and cooperate the best we can.
Governor, there are about 50,000 people in the state who voted for you but did not vote for Mandela Barnes.
Yeah.
What do you say to them?
Well, anybody that votes for me, I say thank you. I've been trying to wrap my arms around that there are people in the state of Wisconsin that voted for me and voted for Ron Johnson. But at the end of the day, I also know that there are issues that transcend politics. And I'm representative of and leader of a great state, a resilient state, and I take the input from people that voted for me and those that didn't vote for me equally important. And so and that's why I spend a lot of time. You know, people wonder why I'm not in the Capitol a lot. I find it more valuable to me as a leader of the state to be listening to people and talking to people about the issues that they are dealing with on a daily basis.
Governor, your win was also historic in nature, that you were the first Wisconsin governor in more than 32 years that won when sharing the same party as the sitting president. What do you think was that difference maker there to
Yeah.
reach the finish line?
Yeah, well, my lieutenant governor candidate was one reason. I think she brought votes to the ticket, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I think it's all about what we've accomplished and the differences on some very significant issues between myself and my opponent. And I had a great conversation with Tim last night, and he was very gracious. So I'm not going to spend my time bashing this is over, that part of the campaign. But you know, the things that on some very specific issues around voting, around public schools, or around a number of other issues that I felt that, you know, reproductive rights, for example, were so unconnected with, I think, Wisconsin values that that was one thing. And then I think over the 4 years that I've been governor, or almost 4 years, people understand we worked hard during the pandemic to get a lot of things done, and our economy is in good shape.
Governor, how much do you think the abortion issue can factor into your win? And more importantly, I guess, what are the next steps going forward to take action?
Yeah, well, we certainly are going to continue pursuing that lawsuit. There's no question. And I think we can win that lawsuit. I think it's on good, solid ground. And I think it did play, you know, there were so many issues in play there. And I'll try to connect these two items and re-ask the question if you want. But I think, you know, we spent a lot of time on UW campuses, and whether it was a male student or female student, I can tell you that was a big deal. It was a big deal for young people, and I think if we look at the data on who voted in this race, that you know, maybe changed the dynamic. I think a lot of it had to do with people that are on our campuses. They cared about that issue. They cared a lot about that issue, whether it was a man or a woman. So I think, first of all, I think we can win that lawsuit, and second of all, it played different. The issue of abortion plays different with different groups. But I think young people who voted at pretty high rate this last night, that was an issue for them, huge issue.
Do you sense any bipartisan agreement in the Capitol on that issue?
On that issue, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way to solve this legislatively. I think it's going to have to happen in the courts. I mean, if they want to, if the legislature wants to put a proposal out, we'll certainly look at it. But just listening to the comments during the campaign, I don't think it exists.
Governor, you ran on more public school funding. How is that going to happen now under your position?
Well, we're going to be working with the state superintendent, and we've already started that. We hope to our initial salvo is a $2 billion increase, but it's that number is probably less important. Not that I'm not going to do that, propose that, but it's around the issue of special needs kids and around kids that are dealing with really difficult mental and behavioral health issues. That's where a lot of the money is going to be going, whether it's $2 billion or $2 billion and $1. So that's what our starting place is, and I think we'll be successful. As I said before, Republican legislators, many of them they represent districts that are smaller, where the main thing happening in those towns is public schools, and they need strong public schools. I don't know what the referendum rate was last night. I think it was pretty good again. So people have expectations, and I know Republican legislators understand that too.
Governor, so with another term ahead of you, and obviously several cabinets and board members that you appointed, still waiting for the Senate votes, any sort of message for Senate Republicans or Jamie to?
Yeah, my message is this. Senator Lemmy here, tell me what I can do to get you to move on these issues. He needs to tell me. And if it's going to be impossible, it's going to be impossible. But the idea that we're going to shut down, the Board of Regents and the DNR for another 4 years, hoping that they're going to win another election. So tell me what we need to do in order to make that happen.
Some of these issues that you call special sessions on the big gavel, the in and out,
Yeah, of course. Whether it's issues around gun safety issues or issues around, we will have a budget that includes legalizing marijuana, and they'll have a chance to talk about that and see if that's something we want to do. But it's at some point in time, the will of the people will become the law of the land, and I sure the hell hope it happens within the next 4 years, and because we just can't, as a state, continue to say, well, 80% of the people want X, and we try to do X and then nothing happens. And I just think that's a irresponsible way to operate a state. And so, yeah, we're not giving up on any of those issues. The will of the people is the law of the land.
Governor, if you had to choose a top priority for your second term, what would you say it is?
Well, first of all, our public school system is in a position where we shouldn't have to have winners and losers every time people go to a referendum. There's something definitely inequitable about that we have winners or losers. Kids are kids, no matter where they live. And so I'd say the focus on that, but we also have lots of other things to work on, and including the fixing the road issue. We have broadband that we now have about 600,000 households that still need it, and we have to have it in an affordable way. So it's hard to prioritize, but I can tell you that if there's something that gnaws on me a lot, and I think the Lieutenant Governor-elect will also agree to that, is we can't have inequitable outcomes nor inputs for our public schools. I know, Sarah, do you want to jump in on that issue?
I think as a nurse myself, and as somebody who's worked in public health for a very long time, education and healthcare are intertwined. And that's the kind of thing we want to invest in Wisconsin, whether that's investing in education, investing in healthcare. These are going to be the priorities of the administration.
We're reviewing it now. I know there may be people that want to move on to another part of their life. They've given 4 years to that. So we'll be taking a look at that. We're not looking to clean house, that's for sure. But we want to make sure, because they're an extraordinary group of people. But we want to give them a chance if they need to have more to their life than being a cabinet member in the Evers administration. Thanks, everybody. Heck, yes. I won a lot. I not only won this race, but I think as my family was telling me, I think I won every single game I played last night. Wow. How about that?
News 3 Now is always on.
Get the Channel 3000 app, activate the push alerts, and we will send you breaking news, traffic, and weather alerts as it happens.
The Channel 3000 app. Get it now.
Powered by News 3 Now.